Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 with one of the most creative players out there. In the red, the Dutch cheese connoisseur. It's uThermal. Alongside his teammate, the Protoss in the blue, we have Goblin. Facing off against the Zerg in the purple, the winner of the Finnish National Championship of 2024. We have ZhuGeLiang. Alongside the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time, the finisher, the Protoss in the teal. It's Serral. A best of 3, 2 versus 2 showdown. And you couldn't ask for much more than a match between these top tier players. But I'm going to try anyways by begging you to smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me counter the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,573 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. I'll probably do it anyways because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Now, first things first, throw out everything you pretend to know about this game, from backseating and watching 1v1 every single day in and day out for the last 5 years. You can't sit back, build up 3 bases and 200 supply with all the tech in the world. You will not survive in 2v2. In fact, it is so strong to have 2 players instead of 1. This tournament has limited resource trading to about the 7-minute mark instead of 4. Because even having that little bit of extra edge to pump into your economy and your extra units can make all the difference. Also, while this isn't one of the maps that is most dangerous, simply having dozens of Zerglings attack you at once while an Oracle slips into your mineral line can completely devastate pretty much any player who's unprepared. So, both players are going to have to be, well, both players on both teams are going to have to be ready to deal with a combined attack and sandbag it at least until their teammates can come in. And obviously uThermal, for those who don't know, well, probably that's the minority here, has a lot of 2v2 experience one way or another lately. I think Serral and ZhuGeLiang, unlikely to be as much. In fact, it's almost impossible. Now, from my understanding, uThermal, under the name Cheese Maniac, but hopefully you figured that one out from context clues and just, you know, in general. But Cheese Maniac, I think, is playing random in this tournament. His tournament, uThermal's 2v2 circuit. But I mean, if he wins it, he proves himself as well. Whereas Serral has been switching between Protoss and Zerg pretty regularly. There is a lot of value in variety. It's a lot harder to counter a single set of unit, especially with Zerg. Double Zerg is a tough unit composition to make work because the counters to most Zerg units are pretty apparent, and it doesn't scale so well. I don't know what's real anymore. Serral's hallucinated Oracle goes past the real Oracle of Goblin, but Goblin not going to be baited. I like how Serral chose the hallucinated Oracle instead of the Phoenix. A little bit slower, but that small chance to induce panic. Now, Goblin going to come in. Driven away immediately. Well, now, Serral has played some Protoss and Terran in the past. It's not like he's completely ignorant of how to play. In fact, the Finnish National Championship that ZhuGeLiang won, Serral didn't manage to win because he was casting. It's been several years since he's played. I think out of a kind of a sporting, a feeling of sportsmanship. But when he did play, he did win it several times as Terran. So, has some off-race experience for sure. And ZhuGeLiang is a top Grandmaster semi-pro. So certainly not incompetent. But right now, inflammatory. With the Hellions coming in, uThermal opening things up and roasting the mineral line. The Queens trying to drive it back with a vengeance, but only spite for now. Now, Oracle's come in. More probes going to be slaughtered. And wow, great micro out of Goblin. Serral at 34 probes. He did expand more quickly. We got 3 bases for uThermal, 1 command center in the main. Goblin taking his 3rd nexus. Serral also... Brenda! Where are you going? No, Serral told me to go this way to stop the hell. He's Protoss. How did he tell you anything? They don't have mouths. I don't like it when you question me, Susan. That makes me feel... That's not the... Sorry, I blacked out for 6 roaches, 12 zerglings on the way. ZhuGeLiang at 47 drones, which is decent, but certainly not booming economy. Angling for a massive attack. Yes, blink is done. It looks like we don't have the fancy observer overlay in order to tell when all the upgrades are finishing, so we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way of, you know, just keeping track. But Blue Flame, uThermal taking us to McDonald's, triple factory in the main base. Goblin has followed it up, blink of his own, as well as +1 attack, but Serral and ZhuGeLiang with quite an attack moving up. Stasis being laid down by multiple oracles on top of the siege tanks. This is quite an entrenched position. Going to be... Wait. Oh, Hallucinated Phoenix will spot much of this. The Ravagers can help take out some of the stasis wards. They will do so. Knock out 1. 3 siege tanks is tough, but not unbreakable with the right amount of units. It is quite a choke point. More stasis, trying to trigger them. Not a single one done so. Now going to lay down a few more. Depowers the shield batteries. Serral with the Stalkers blunks forward past his own Guardian shield. Stasis catches some Stalkers, knocks down another one. The Oracles light up. The Anti-Air is severely limited. More Corrosive Biles to knock down the siege tanks, but they're doing terrible, terrible damage in the midst of things. Goblin warping in more Blink Stalkers in order to help defend. Serral Stalkers about to come out of stasis. The Nexus taking some heavy fire from the Corrosive Biles, but another siege tank comes up. The Stalker count is consolidated. Serral is driven back. ZhuGeLiang is knocked out. And I believe Team uThermal, the marksmen, have held. And the finishers will be driven back for now. I'm not sure if they have actual team names, but that's a working title. I hope I don't offend anyone too much. Zerglings. Oh, the Hellions get caught. They have Blue Flame, but they can't fire enough, literally and figuratively, before the Hellions come in. Blink Stalkers moving to deal with it. Goblin has to play defense for now. There's no siege tanks nearby, and the Hellions just got taken out. uThermal at 64 SCVs, Serral and Goblin at about 55 probes apiece. ZhuGeLiang's 59 drones. Has he finished a lair? Yes, he's got a lair on the way. Roach speed has begun. 2 more factories for uThermal. He's working on 1-1. Goblin charging +2. Kind of hard to keep track. Right now we have a Predator drone. But right now we have both Protoss, Goblin and Serral, going for this heavy ground army to box out for the heavier tech of their teammate. Now the split will be the just slow but undeniable power of the mech. Is he sharing control? Yes, there's a control indicator. So Goblin and uThermal are sharing control of their units, which means they can both move the units, which has can go wrong if you're not coordinating closely. I don't believe Serral and ZhuGeLiang are, but well, so creep is an awkward one in team games. One of the reasons why Zerg is quite difficult to make work in team games a lot of the time. Serral could not take... He cannot rebuild this Nexus now, as there is creep underneath it. You can build before it, but creep's creep. It doesn't discriminate. The only reason it works in co-op is the AI is coded not to cannon rush you, which is a bit disappointing in my opinion. We got Swarm Hosts on the way. Sir Richard and his band of Swarm Host brethren. Not an accident, but one of the best ways to deal with an entrenched mech composition. And pretty good against ground toss as well. But these are heavy Blink Stalker compositions, so very mobile compared to, like, the CIA build. Charge Lot Immortal Archon. Dark Shroud on the way for Serral. A whole bunch of Swarm Hosts. Smart Servos, high-sec auto-trekking, and +2 mech weapons and armor for uThermal. Serral gonna box out. He's got 1-1 upgrades. He's working on 2-2, but Goblin will have overall weapon upgrades for most unit compositions are an advantage, because weapon upgrades scale. Like, a lot of stuff that does 10 damage will get 2 more damage. Just throwing numbers out there from a weapon upgrade. Whereas armor upgrades only ever reduce it by 1 more. So especially for things like tanks and many Protoss units, those weapon upgrades scale much higher than adding any armor. And shields, while they might affect buildings, you don't affect as much of units. Like Zealots only have 50 shields at 100 HP. So that's why the upgrades are the way they are much of the time. But does Goblin not have charge? He does. And here comes a full-on attack. ZhuGeLiang counter attempted. Serral working around the edges, but the siege tanks are down the center. The marksman moving forward. And Serral's gold base is looking incredibly vulnerable. The Stalkers cannot engage that many siege tanks. The ZhuGeLiang's getting cut down by the Zealots. But the Locust will drop from the north side, and Serral is picking away at some of the units to the south, but Goblin boxes out with his own Stalkers. A few charge lots caught in a stasis. Well played there. Corrosive Biles actually helping to soften things up, but Blunks forward on the tank. Serral goes for the full counterattack. The Stalkers on the other side of the map. uThermal just abandons his third base. Stasis will slow things down. And now, it's getting a bit dramatic. It looks like a warp prism tried to come into the main and was immediately knocked down, as uThermal's turrets are covering for Goblin's base. I guess it's a team effort. Meanwhile, siege tanks moving forward, but the Locust ready to be popped yet again. He's trying to trigger them so the siege tanks can fire on them, but the Locust drop down. Stalkers blink back to box out. Roaches and Ravagers on the front. Serral driven back by a massive workers' revolution. And the Stalkers are going to come in for a flank, but already terrible, terrible damage is being done. And if he loses that Nexus, it's going to be a massive pain to rebuild it. Serral's Stalkers coming back around. ZhuGeLiang, where are the Swarm hosts? They haven't yet recharged. Serral's got Stalkers on either side. Goblin trying to box out. Blanks in front. The siege tanks down to 3, down to 2, going to be cleaned up. And the finishers will hold the line. ZhuGeLiang at 200 supplies, Serral at only 100. But the counter-attack undercutting the reinforcements and the economy, and then the Swarm hosts helping to grind their way through. Where are the Swarm hosts? I found them. It's hard to miss. Swarm hosts working on the gold base, but Goblin gets on top of the Blink Stalkers, sniping them off one after another. Serral trying to help out. The Roaches coming up as well. The Swarm hosts, no! Oh, it's a massacre. The Swarm host defenseless as their babies take out the gold base and die on their own. Their life's work finished. Oh. The Roaches and Ravagers. Well, wait a second. The fact that ZhuGeLiang is still maxed out. Serral, his supply is struggling. But the siege tank count was reset. I mean, he's up to 13 again, which is quite healthy. Is there a hive? Their DT is Serral's Dark Templar, which is a sentence that's very hard for me to say. Going to buy some more time. Another one at the third. But the Swarm host with 200 supply, alongside any amount of Stalkers to help box out. And this is definitely an army. The Finisher's army definitely benefits from being the aggressor. Swarm hosts much better on offense than defense. When they're pinned up, you can't fly away your Nexus. A very important point. The Swarm hosts at near point-blank range getting a little too close. Eating a few siege tank hits. Locusts drop down. Roaches and Ravagers still brawling. Small Zealot counters. Going to, and a larger Hellion counter. Looking for some of the probes. Serral down to 54 workers. Roaches and Ravagers exchanging fire. The Hellions roasting the mineral line. Ooh. The drone's being incinerated right now by the Blue Flame Hellions. uThermal, when we needed him most, he delivered. Meanwhile, the Zealots in the main are targeting the forges. He's gonna deny +3 armor and may get +3 weapons. Shutting down the upgrades. Quite a big move out of Goblin. The Warp Prism is still in the main, and Serral struggling to clean it up. And every moment is buying more time, though. The Swarm hosts have not been idle. Only a few of them remain. He's actually rebuilding some burrow move, adrenal glands. All the hive tech is on the way, but the Swarm hosts will be stalked down and murdered. Goblin, leaving only 3 alive, but trying to defend his home base. He doesn't have recall off cooldown. It's going to be another 10 seconds or so. And by then, the fight will already be decided. The Stalkers come back around. Serral 144 supply. Goblin only 126. The Finishers with the advantage, but the Thors are here. DT Blink on the way. Immortals blasting through the composition. Stalker's body blocking, but here comes Serral, targeting down the Immortals. Takes down a couple. Thors on the high ground. Siege tanks as well. There's no vision. 18 more Swarm hosts for ZhuGeLiang. Trying to defend the base, the ping, but it's too late. The Hellions have already roasted through it. Another group of Hellions is heading up at Serral. At 144 supply, just right-clicks on the planetary, gets it in 2 shots. Swarm host count back up to 26. Well, the Roach Ravager, the Swarm host, looking for an opportunity, but the finisher is definitely... Well, Goblin is down to 79 supply. What has gone wrong? He sent all his units out to try to protect the team's interests. Well, uThermal has been building up. uThermal has doubled the supply. And now it's on this mech army. The thing is, on its own, against the combined efforts, Thors and siege tanks aren't going to be enough. There's 26 swarm hosts. And whenever he unsieges, the stalkers can blink in. I think we're trending towards a victory. Well, that's one way of saying they're ahead. We're still a long way off victory here. With that many siege tanks on the field, there's still a lot of potential for the marksmen to make their way back. What are the upgrades? +3 weapons and +3 plating about to complete for uThermal. Goblin has +321. Serral's now filling in that +3 upgrade himself. But the locust count is so damn high. Swarm hosts with any amount of cover that they get provided in team games. A menace that they pretty much cannot be in 1v1. A Sporist is coming together. More like a Sportrid here, but Serral manages to secure. He's going to have 5 bases now. And what's left? Well, there are 8 Thors, 9 siege tanks. Goblin has a smattering of very strong units. He's very low on the supply. The creep spread is much of the way across the map now. And even killing a couple tanks or... Like, he's gonna get 10, 12 supply each time. This is awkward. The Hellions just run by the Swarm host. They can't really... Well, I guess the Hellions could attack the Swarm host, but... Stalkers blinking in. Gross even more drones. Killed so many drones. 34 drones dead. Serral's lost 61 probes. I guess it's less dramatic when you lose the probes with the bases rather than on their own. It appears it's time to go. It's not getting any easier. If they wait too long, the next level of tech will be online. Serral has a fleet beacon now completed in the main base. He can work towards a mothership. But the Swarm host will rain down. The Hellbats will spontaneously combust the Locust, though, so that's a tough position. The Stalkers looking for an opportunity, but the last push from the marksman. Gonna try to snipe off some of the Thors. Tanks will siege. Drive it back. Are there any Vipers? No. 28 Swarm hosts. So if a Locust wave is wasted, that's when things can go sideways fast. Zealot counterattack, limiting uThermal's economy. But these siege tanks are tough to beat. And max upgrade Thors as well. Some Lurkers on the way. Tempest in production. Serral gonna take to the skies to deal with this, but Thor should be able to deal with it relatively easily. Another wave! Trying to time out 1 Thor down, make that 2. And it keeps raining down. The 3rd Thor will be taken down if the Tempest count gets high enough. That's all that really matters. Tempest starting to pop out. The economy gutted. uThermal down to 34 SCVs. Couple Ruptors, couple Tempests on the way. But ZhuGeLiang with 27 Swarm hosts. Still going to work with money in the... Oh my... Whoa, got real close there. Stasis. I love the staggered Swarm host drop. The stasis doesn't catch nearly enough. He's gonna lose a few more tanks, and now... Well, look at the supply. The corrosive bow is raining down. Serral whips out a disruptor volley. The double barrel blasts a couple tanks apart. 6 more Swarmos on the way. This tank push is still scary. But in order to win a game of StarCraft 2, you must destroy all your opponent's buildings. And I don't think that's in the cards right now. Another wave. The army thinning out. The Tempest in the sky. The Locusts hunting down. The Stalkers trying to trade. GG! And it appears we got this replay directly from uThermal, and when he left, so did our existence. But game 1 will go to Serral and ZhuGeLiang with a pretty, I'm not going to say comfortable victory. There were definitely some scary moments. But a coherent game plan revolving around those swarm hosts and using them to break the defensive lines, incredibly effective. The real danger was Zerg, like, finding times to be useful as Zerg, which clearly they did there. And trying to turtle up to mech ended up... Alright, well that answers my question. Well, game 2. We're going to Breakwater. And we've added a new player, Demon Mark. This time, joining Serral as Zerg. So, pretty sure he's playing random. Serral on the other... Wait, no. Serral's playing Protoss. uThermal is playing Zerg. And the other players, ZhuGeLiang and Goblin. Zerg and Protoss. Okay, I got it. Alright. I think the initial push, the Roach Ravager Blinkstalker push, actually did more than expected. It feels like with 3 siege tanks, half a dozen stasis, and any amount of other units, you should be able to hold most early pushes. But I think Serral and ZhuGeLiang combined with a very strong timing. And in fact, if those extra stalkers didn't get caught in stasis, we could have been looking at a much shorter game. Serral was very close to just breaking the siege line outright. And again, as we have a relatively macro-oriented start, make sure to check out uThermal. I believe he has his perspective of these matches. Not saying which way they go, so there's still plenty of opportunity here, but if you want to check out his perspective with maybe a bit more analytical insight, or at least excitement, make sure to check out his channel. And also the matches, and help support putting on anything that isn't just Clem beating Max Packs in 1v. Okay, I do enjoy Clem versus Max Packs in 1v1. Do I enjoy it as about 40% of all the replays I get sent? I would not say that's a proportional level of interest. And very interesting that Serral showing up for the 2v2 tournaments, but not the weekly ones. Though I guess it kind of makes sense. I think Serral likes a little variety as well. It's a bit tough out there as a Zerg player in 1v1. Not that you can't win, it's just can be somewhat frustrating. And that's why Serral has decided to be a filthy, cheesy, disgusting Protoss. I mean, a creative Protoss sewer mermaid. Almost literally here by this almost boathouse-looking thing in the little pond area of Breakwater. He's gonna do it's a proxy gate. It looks like a full-on double-player all-in. We've got Baneling Nest, as well as multiple gateways. I don't think Serral, he doesn't even have a Twilight. It's just 3 gate and a Baneling bust. Now, Goblin, Dark Shrine is on the way. If a Dark Shrine finishes, the game, I think, just ends. Like, or as long as the economy still exists for the marksman, the game just, oh my. Both Protoss players going for a proxy. Serral picked, oh, I was going to say the perfect spot, but apparently the vision blocker doesn't extend over the water, which kind of makes sense, but yep, there's a ping like, hey, wait a sec. And any amount of additional warning for these players is going to be absolutely critical. All right, well, here come the Stalkers. Serral already has 9 of them. No blink, but will he need it? The gateway's just now opening up for Goblin. Serral clearly chrono boosted out. And this is what I was talking about. The 2-player all-in. Just straight up early 2-base. Well, Serral doesn't even have an expansion. This is a 1-base all-in. Banelings trying to hunt down the drones. uThermal down to 26. ZhuGeLiang only has 20 himself back at home, so hitting drones is not nearly as important as maintaining a critical mass of army supply. Serral trying to chase down the stalkers, just ignoring the Zerglings nibbling at his feet, which is disrespectful in so many ways considering who he is and what he does. But on the other side, the Adepts trying to get some damage done. Serral pulled off to respond, but DTs have been warped in, are starting to chip away. Serral stutter-stepping his stalkers, but the Zerglings can't get through the invisible wall. And this attack seems to be losing plenty of momentum now. Dark Templar on the other side, Spore Crawler on the way, robotics facility will be built, but Serral will have nothing to stop his probes from being slaughtered one by one by the Dark Templar. Oh, Goblin. Just slicing through. He's actually working on the robotics facility. Will ZhuGeLiang move a Spore Crawler over? Yes. And he'll build another one. It appears a DT could actually kill a Robo before it finishes, which is kind of depressing. The Spore Crawler is on the run. Serral still has a lot of stalkers knocking on the door. uThermal, like... Well, if he doesn't have an economy at home, he can still ruin their economy on the other side. And actually, they've killed both hatcheries. So... Huh. I feel like this... Oh my. Oh my. I mean, the DT will die. 11 kills. Serral has less probes than he started with. He's still doing so much damage with the stalkers, but a single DT will put a timer on all this. He's trying to box in, like, hold the stalkers down so the DT can get more swipes off. The robotics facility was actually taken out. There's now creep extended into the base. He eventually got a Spore Crawler there. Serral forced to micro all the way back. A recall on the stalkers. Only 3 will make it out. I think the best case scenario. Wow, there's 49 Zerglings and a couple Banes from ZhuGeLiang. But there's still Dark Templar. He's building Overseers. It's a bit disastrous. Well, huh. I mean, huh. I believe Serral's sharing control. I'm seeing Serral actually take command of the Zerglings at some points here. Let's see if we can go to the Serral action cam, which is usually pretty easy to follow compared to some players of that caliber for comparison. Maybe not. Just trying to make his probe count somewhat respectable, ideally higher than he started with. The Zerglings all the way back to defend, which gives away that there's nothing else out of the map. Some Archons from DTs. The attack momentum is definitely in favor of the marksman, but ZhuGeLiang still has 3 bases. The worker count is painful across the board. And now the front base. Interesting place to expand, but remember, the other bases were taken by uThermal, so Goblin was kind of forced into it. The stalkers out in front. There are Overseers. Serral coming in. He has an Immortal with the army. They're going to try to get some more damage done. If they can break this base, that can be the start of a turnaround. But the Immortal will be targeted down easily by the stalkers. The Archons are doing a lot of damage. And, well, the Archons managed to back all the way off. 15 kills, 12 kills. If he kills the Overseers, that complicates things even further. Goblin warps in another round. Blink is done. GG. We're all tied up. uThermal as Zerg finding more success than his Terran counterpart. Of course, a very different sort of game. The finisher's trying to break it open using one of those. I'm sure that cheese against almost everyone is deadly. The choice to go DTs is so risky, but at the same time, the winning move. the gamble there pays off. But now they need one more. We're going in the Crimson Research Lab. Goblin and Demon Mark returns, but this time, I believe they switched servers, so he has different account names, because of course he does. But Demon Mark returns. The Terran in the yellow. On the other side, this time in the blue, Serral is Protoss, alongside ZhuGeLiang as teal. What I'm seeing is that they've clearly, if not practiced, they're coordinating. Obviously, uThermal and Goblin, as they've been planning for quite a while, but it does seem like Serral and ZhuGeL are, they've planned strategies and play styles, which is really cool to see that. Now, I feel like when we saw some of the top players, like Clem and Trigger, and then Max Pax and Spirit, it felt like they had their one style and mostly were just playing 1v1 at such an advanced level. They're just so much better than everyone. And also part of the reason why the feeding the Protoss so much money they can go 4 Stargate carrier at the 5-minute mark was nerfed. So, that's good to see. I think Zerg has a place here, but you do have to work it out. Goblin's probe taking a look around. Serral again. Every game, going for multiple gates, opening up aggressive opportunities, making sure you can't. There will be no just sitting back and doing filler commentary until the 6-minute mark because they're all just sitting on 3 bases. No, that's not what happens here. Two Stalkers, also very interesting at Stalkers pretty much every time. We're not seeing Adepts like you'd more typically expect out of the double gate. But instead, the Stalkers are only... Serral with... Okay, he has like... I don't know if this is 2 or 3 different skins for his units. But that is both infuriating and hilarious. Using the classic skin for the Nexus and the probes, and then like the Alarak skins for his gateway and his units. Wait, what? Is the Stalker skin different? I think it is. I think that's a complete... I don't think there's a random... You have to manually do that, by the way. So... like, there is no random skins button. Though there probably should have been at some point. I'm just saying. But... part of the reason we're seeing them is because we don't have that overlay set up at the moment. Because somebody forgot to add it. I'm not naming names. Thermal. Well, the Hellions just run by, but Stalkers not quite landing the last shot, but should be enough to keep him from anything further. Goblin with another Dark Shrine, hoping lightning can strike twice. More Hellions just disrespectfully running by, as the Stalkers unable to match their speed. A more conservative attack timing as Serral is expanding. And ZhuGeL has 27 drones, but still a dangerous one to open things up. The pylon going to be targeted. Warp gate not even done yet. Bunker not completed. If the Stalkers can delay it at all, that last shot, the bunker completes. Oh, a missed opportunity there maybe, but a siege tank is out, and that likely would have stalled this. Oh no, the force... No, you're locked in here with me. Okay, well, what if you was? Then the Zerglings on top of the Nexus will take it out. And you cannot... One does not simply expand in 2 versus 2. Not with 1 gate, not with 1 barrack. Like, they just didn't have the unit count. Against either of those players individually, this would have been more than enough to hold. But with Zerglings and Stalkers, easily enough to rip apart the Nexus. And now Goblin is in a very... awkward spot economically. He's got 24 probes. Serral finishes his Nexus as he helps destroy his opponents, which seems like a double win. Spore Crawler at the front. Did they spot the Dark Shrine or just anticipate? They did not see it. They can smell it. And, of course, they've already been DT rushed, so why else? There's been no Oracle and no direct aggression. So the chances of DTs are quite high. Goblin can use a hallucinated Phoenix, spots the Spore on the high ground and realize that the DTs are unlikely to find resounding success. Though, ideally, he doesn't confirm them until he can find some damage. You don't want to give away the fact you committed to it either, though it's not a huge deal compared to if you just outright lost him. This is also an option. Gonna start chopping. Wow, they kill pretty fast. I guess those swipes do a lot of damage. Serral with a hallucinated Phoenix just gliding through the whole base. Double Forge behind. It's just going to be straight up mass gateway. We've got double Evo for ZhuGeLiang. Robo's on the way. I think with Game 3, neither team wants to risk it much more than that early aggression. And that was definitely a calculated risk. It was unlikely it could fail horribly. Like, worst case scenario, they don't kill the Nexus. Which is pretty rough, but not the end of the world. Another hallucinated Phoenix coming in. Both sides can keep easy tabs with those hallucinations. Technically, they could scan or Overseers as well, but probably the easiest method, especially with so much base to cover. Goblin only 41 probes still. Serral 54. ZhuGeLiang 67 drones. Now working on Hydroling Bane. uThermal going with Marines and oh, Serral just blinks up to the high ground. Gonna kill some more of the probes. Sees an opportunity. Goblin doesn't have blink. So there's an opportunity to trade out here. Gonna target down the sentry, get the stalkers. Marines are coming down, but Serral, oh no! They'll expect one of us in the wreckage, brother. Unfortunate stalker, but for the most part, a clean getaway. A scan? Goes for the natural. Sees Hydras coming down the ramp. So, a giveaway of the direction, the trajectory of the finisher's build, but Marines and Marauders, as well as double medevac. 122 supply for uThermal is quite a healthy number at this stage. In comparison, especially considering ZhuGeLiang with 80 drones is at only 133. So definitely going to be the major danger. Serral adding on a Stargate. He's got 2-2 already started. Goblin finally starting to pull things back together by his probe straps. He's got 54 probes, 3 bases, adding a lot more gas. I feel like Storm or some sort of heavy splash damage might be the way to go at this point. We'll see what he decides to take it with, but yeah, Serral on 4 bases. Oh my god. He has the classic Zealots, but he has like 3 or 4 different. Got the thrift store Protoss over here. Just hand-me-downs, alright? I'll take whatever skins you got in stock. And a fleet beacon is on the way as Serral calls to the Sky Toss for aid, or potentially an opportunity to close this out. As a remarkably passive, besides that early aggression, almost nothing. I said, well, don't expect to just sit back and do... Well, after that initial push, neither side really interested in committing to a potentially game-ending attack. Though Serral and ZhuGeLiang are about to max out. So, that would be the opportunity. Especially if Goblin and uThermal try to expand it all anymore. The gold base on the way. Zealots warped in, but this was spotted by some of the observers. Serral warps in a Templar. He's got Storm and Tempest on the way. Already working on that ultimate late game composition. I'm surprised we don't see a mothership in production. But still, a very dangerous army. Hydras, Lings, and Banes. The Bio army gonna split. Oh, the combined effort's just rolling through, though. The Banelings closing in on the Bio Ball. uThermal able to micro away for now. The force field's helping hold things back, and there's nothing to break them. No Ravagers. But the command center will be targeted down. uThermal can stim his way past Goblin. Might be able to chase with his Blink Stalkers, and a lot of the Banelings were expended. He's rebuilding some more. But maybe they bit off a little more than they could metaphorically chew. The siege tank still back at home. More Hydras and Lings. What are the upgrades to? +2 melee attack and Carapace for the Zerg. +2 ground attack for Goblin. And uThermal has 2/2 infantry weapons and armor. ZhuGeLiang now working on +3 melee and Carapace alongside Adrenal Glands, but Serral's got some Tempests on the field. Siege tanks now called into the fray, but this is the most dangerous moment. Hive Tech is not online, and the army supplies are very similar. With siege tanks on the back line, this could all go sideways real fast for the finishers. Storm is completed. Throws a Storm out on some Stalkers. Needs it on the Bio Ball here, but doesn't quite have it. No energy. The Banelings are headed the wrong direction. Caught. The pathfinding not looking very good at all. ZhuGeLiang down to 120 supply, and it's up to Serral to hold the line. The Tempests are chewing through. The hatchery will be taken down. The High Templar have recharged some energy. The Tempest starting to pick away at the tanks. Those Templar! Oh no, he unsieged a moment before they came into range, but wanted to try to save some of the tanks. A recall as Serral had a Zealot counterattack to the south side. And Serral's at 200 supply, everybody else well under 150. Well, he decides to cancel some carriers and add more Tempests. A mothership on the way. He cancels the Tempest and adds a mothership, which is a clear indicator as well. So uThermal's going to be able to re-expand to the north side. But Serral now has 79. Well, he's playing it like the Zerg at the moment. The Zerg lot's coming in. 3-2 upgrades. 7 Ultralisks for ZhuGeLiang will complement his supply, which was dangerously low. The Stalkers blinking forwards. Serral's Storm, though, washing away a lot of the shields and working on the HP. Hydras and Lings. 9 Ultras in production. Meanwhile, the Zealots have sliced through the base to the south, completely gutting the probe line. Goblin back under 50 workers. He may never financially recover from this. And the finishers in pole position. Double-digit Ultras. Not a single Viper. Which seems like a bit lackadaisical, but with that many Ultras, just throwing him into the fray with any amount of Sky Toss behind, good luck and good night. Stalkers on the high ground for Serral. I feel like partially freeing up some supply. Only has 2 Star... Yeah, he loses the Stalkers and warps in 5 High Templar and more Zealots. Stalkers are almost obsolete at this point. You still want a few of them, but Zealots for run-bys and the Ultras are spotted. Ultra speed isn't done, but chitinous plating. Those are soon-to-be El Chapo lisks over here. And 200 supply apiece for Finnish players. The Stalkers will pop one of the Ultras, but opening up an opportunity in Serral's mothership. What a sentence. The Thors to zone it out. A couple Ghosts can help out for sure. The Ultras, Lings, and Banes just slicing through Goblin. Coming back to defend. Most of the Ultras with the main army. Is there tectonic destabilizers? Indeed there are. just targeting the planetary. Time warp on top of everything underneath. And easily just cuts down the planetary fortress from above. uThermal is maxed out. Goblin 156. ZhuGeLiang also maxed out. So, one odd man out at the moment. The Ultra's trying to chew through, but target fired by Goblin so far. The Storms, not really finding the mark. Still, though, the counterattack comes in again, undercutting any efforts to move forward as they have to take more steps back. The SCVs annihilated by the Banelings. The mothership still above. Feedback's coming through. Tempest still chipping away. The Ultras and another fight in this location. The Thors on the back line. The Ultras chewing through the front. The Tempest shelling away. The Thors are able to blast through the Ultras to the north side. Serral shifts his Templar to the south. The mothership's still intact, but uThermal actually takes a winning fight. The supply being replenished quickly. Vipers, blinding cloud, forces the Marauders underneath. Mothership getting dramatically far forward. Might be taken down by the high-impact Thors. Blasted out of the sky. Ultras from the right flank and the left. The supply plummeting. A anticlimactic conclusion as uThermal leaves the game and doesn't even give us a few more moments to enjoy it. But Team Serral and ZhuGeLiang are able to take a 2-1 victory over the tournament organizer himself and one of the most accomplished 2v2 players. But I think a clear demonstration of the power of teamwork and coordination there. Goblin and uThermal trying to cut a few too many corners, and the finishers did not let them round them. So they'll move on. And I think a marked difference, if you watched any of the games of Serral and I believe it was ZhuGeLiang in the last month tournament, they've clearly stepped it up. And, well, does stepping it up mean Serral plays Protoss? Apparently. What are the implications of that? I dare not speculate. But hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to check out uThermal's channel for more of the games, including his perspective maybe on some of these ones. And link in the description. Otherwise, I hope this made your day just a little bit better. And if you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon. Thank you to our Mule tier patrons, Big Jiggy, Dork, K, Mario, and Suit Thomas B, for bringing in so many extra minerals. But also, I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. I hope I made your day just a little bit better. And I hope to see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.